Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Maine Bushcrafter. And today we're going to go over some hints and tips for sustainable foraging. And what we mean by sustainable is that you can forage from the wild, but do it in such a way that you're not going to exhaust your resources earlier than what you really need to do. Generally speaking, if you're lost and you're heading towards civilization, that's not going to be too much of an issue. You can eat along the way. However, if you're in a situation where you're going to be having to stay put, for instance, a member of your party is severely injured, maybe a heart attack or a broken leg or something like that, and can't be moved, and you have to wait for some sort of rescue, that means you're going to have to forage in your local area. And if you want to do that in a smart way, when you come across some sort of a plant, whatever it may be and whatever you want to use it for, as you can tell, there's a lot of mosquitoes out today, you want to make sure you try not to exhaust more than 10% of the natural environment. What there is for stock available in the natural environment might be a better way to put it. But seeing so I'm right here in the middle of no place, I just went through a huge patch of stinging nettles, and grab the camera to show you what the stinging nettles look like. These are stinging nettles, and you'll see in a moment I'm putting gloves on for a very good reason. These hairs, how good you're going to be able to see it in there, but these hairs actually cut your skin, and they leave a bit of a poison. It can make a very irritating, very rash-like. They have these small flowerlets on it. They grow actually up to 6 feet tall. You can see, for instance, this one right here. Which is not far back enough. These days I'll be able to hire a filter. But this one is actually taller than these, so they can grow to more than 6 feet in height. Now, however, one of the things you learn about foraging is that whenever a poison or irritating plant is near somewheres, generally speaking, nearby, you're going to have another plant that has an antidote for that poison. And in this case, what we have are called touch-me-nots. And I'll swing this camera around because we're right next to it. You see the stinging nettles there. And right next to it are touch-me-nots. These are called spotted touch-me-nots. Kind of a droopy orange color. That's what they have around here. There's also what are called a pale touch-me-not, which are, that's what the leaves look like. Kind of very coarse, sawtooth leaves. But they generally grow in close proximity to stinging nettles and poison ivy and things like that. I want to take a few moments here and go over a couple of these plants and pointers involving the nettles and the jewelweed plant. Stinging nettles, this is a hard group to mistake for any others. There are a lot of stinging hairs. Many different plants have hairs on them, but only, or essentially only the stinging nettles, the wood nettles and the slender nettles have stinging hairs, and you have to handle these with care. I'd strongly suggest you make sure you have some gloves with you if you want to pick them, or if you're going to be in a place where you may be walking through them, and especially you want to make sure that you're wearing long pants if possible. The flowers of them are greenish in color, very slender, and they have forked clusters in the upper axils. The leaves are paired, which means that they're opposite each other, coming from the various nodes, and the flowers will grow out from that. You can eat nettles. You can use them as a cooked green. You can use them to add to soup, or you can make tea out of it. The young shoots, make sure that you try to get them while they're fairly, small. I'd suggest probably 6 inches as a max. Simmer them in about maybe 15 minutes of water. Serve them up with some butter and lemon, and they taste pretty good. I've done it that way. The stinging qualities disappear after you cook them. When you get much older than that, though, when they get up to like 10 to 15 inches in height, they get pretty tough, and it's a lot harder to get rid of that effect that the stinging nettles have. Also, they can be added to soups and stews. Again, I've used them as vegetable additives. You can make a tea out of them by boiling the young shoots, or you can just boil the leaves for several minutes, strain the water out, and just add your flavoring and sweetening to it if so desired. There's a lot of vitamins A and C in these plants. There's also iron and plenty amount of protein. And again, you want to make sure that you don't handle these with bare hands. One of the things that I have mentioned already before in this video is that the jewelweeds that usually go right next to them are an excellent antidote. So make sure you look for the jewelweeds before you look for the stinging nettles to make sure that the antidote for that poison or hazard is nearby. There's a couple of different nettles. There's the wood nettle, the stinging nettle, and the slender nettle. Up where I live, the only one I've seen is the stinging nettles. Slender nettles are also found in New England, but I haven't come across any yet. So, to get into the jewelweed, which is the antidote for the stinging nettle hazard, again, you can see from these pictures that they're spotted orange blossoms, and they kind of dangle like bells on the end of the stalks. It's not a very deep root system that these plants have. They grow from about 2 to 5 feet high. The stems are very succulent, a lot of liquid in them, very watery. And you can find them in wet, shady places in wide swaths of the Northeast, and actually even all the way down to Florida. You can use them as cooked greens for eating, but the higher value that they have with these spotted touch-me-nots that you see here are a remedy for skin irritants such as poison ivy and nettles. What you do is you crush them in your hands, essentially, and rub them into your skin. I've used these many times with excellent results. Originally, when I first started getting into this, I didn't know that what they were and all that, so it caused some problems. But overall, you keep going back into the woods, you keep trying different things, and eventually you end up either making a fatal mistake and killing yourself, or you learn to survive and thrive in the woods. And that's part of what my main bushcrafter videos are all about, is learning how to survive and thrive in a situation that most other people would just simply curl up into a ball and wither away in their tears because they have absolutely no idea what to do. So, hope you enjoy the videos, and we'll carry on here. One of the things you want to be careful of when you're foraging for wild foods is to make sure that 100%, 110% actually, of what you're handling for a plant. There are a lot of plants out there that you can eat. One of the families, such as the, well, we'll go into like the Queen Anne's lace, the angelicas and EROs. They all look similar, but there are minor differences. And they also mimic the water hemlock and the poison hemlock, which are deadly poisonous plants. We'll go into some of the different details and stuff when I bring those up on the videos here. But if you're not sure of what you have and you ingest poison hemlock instead of, say, the Queen Anne's lace, which is also known as the wild cucumber, you'd be dead duck. Again, I also want to point out here that I'm not an expert. I don't have, umpteen years of college training and in the field training as a biologist, so don't take everything that I say as 100% fact, because I may not be positive for some of it. I try to be, and the stuff that I've eaten obviously has not been poisonous, hasn't bothered me in any way. Otherwise I would be here to share that with you. But you want to make sure. A couple of ways of doing that is to try to get into some local training course, wild foraging course that you might have through your local U.S. FDA local chapter, through their extension programs, or through state university extension programs, or there's a lot of different programs out there across the country. Since I don't know where all of you live, you'll have to find them out on your own. But you want to also try to get some good guidebooks. First one is the National Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Wildflowers. This doesn't essentially tell you what and what is not poison, but there's a lot of good pictures on a bunch of different things. It also gives you some pretty in-depth ideas and guides as to what they look like. They also have comments on some of them that can tell you whether it's poisonous or whether it is in fact edible, and different things, variants and things. But that's one book. Second book that I find very handy is Peterson's Field Guides has Edible Wild Plants. It's a very good book. It's a $19 or $20 book, but it doesn't have much for color plates in the middle. It does have a few, but they're not very, the color plates themselves are not extensive by any means. There's like maybe a dozen or so in the middle. But each of the pages have on one side hand drawings or line drawings of what they look like. And then on the other side of the page, of course, you have a description of what the plant is, its uses. They tell you what you can use it for, is like in the salads or candies or pickling or whatever. But again, it's mostly black and white, so it can be kind of tricky, especially when you get into, like I said, those same plants. Here's a good example of that, how good you're going to be able to see that here. But these are all EROs, poison hemlocks, wild carrot, that sort of thing. You can see roughly how close together they look as far as the descriptions go. If you have a good color plate, like you can out of the National Audubon Society, that will help you a lot. Another one, and there are some others, I'm planning on doing some book reviews on some of these things individually. A very good one is Wildflowers in New England. It's actually a Down East book. I'm not sure if it's still on the market. I know when these first came out they were less than $10, but I'm sure if you were to get one like that now it would be more like $25–30. But they have a lot of good hand-colored, hand-drawn pictures in there along with descriptions. That'll give you a really good idea, and they're color-coded by the different colors of the flowers. Like you have red and yellow and all that, and they have very good descriptions of them on the bottom. So you want to make sure that you know, you have some way of identifying positively, either through personal experience or through training experience or through the guidebooks. Second tip is you want to make sure that you carry gloves. Some of these plants can cause you some problems. One of the issues that we have with a lot of plants, for instance the hog weed, which is a growing menace around the country. It looks very much like the hemlocks and the Queen Anne's lace, the wild parsnip, those lines that you can eat. The hogweed actually can grow up to several feet high, you know, 6 to 8 feet high or taller. But when they're younger, they resemble the other ones. But the problem is there's a chemical that's inside hogweed, as well as some other the plants that you might come in contact with, that causes a rash or skin condition called photodermatitis, which is very serious. It can cause welts, blistering that can open and seep. You can get infected, and sometimes it takes months and months and months for these things to go away. In some cases, I've heard they can take years before it's totally gone from your system. It leaves some really ugly dark red welts, and constant itching and irritation. I've never been in that situation before, but the people that I've talked to that have, there's just a lot of them that won't even bother going out in the wilds anymore. They'll just stay on manicured trails if they go on a hike. That's how bad it is and how serious of a problem it can be. So you want to make sure that you're well protected from that. Next hint, you want to make sure that you carry something to carry your plants in, so that they're not going to get bruised. Once you bruise a plant, it starts to deteriorate and decompose very rapidly. And you want them as fresh as possible when you get ready to eat them. So make sure you have some bags. Not in this video, but in an upcoming video. I'm actually going to gather some stuff and prepare a couple of meals out of what we can find in the woods. I didn't bring the stuff that I was going to do that with today, because I actually want to do that in a different location where there's a much wider variety than the spot that I'm at today. But again, you want to make sure that you take the necessary precautions to make sure that you know what it is you're looking at and touching before you get into trouble. Don't take my word for everything. Like I said, I'm not in any way, shape, or form a really big expert on wild plants and what's edible and not edible. I know what grows where I live, in the woods that I go through, and what I can and cannot eat there. But that isn't necessarily the case all across the country. There's thousands and thousands and thousands. Actually, there's hundreds of thousands of plants on this continent. Probably 95% or more are not edible. And unfortunately, a lot of the ones that are not edible and poisonous can in fact look a lot like ones that are perfectly harmless and tasty and very edible. So again, I want to caution you to make sure that you know what you're talking about, and what you're looking at, and what you're touching, and what you're putting in your mouth. Probably not in my next video, but in a couple of videos after, we'll go into some of the survival aspects of how to test a plant to find out whether or not it's safe to eat or not. And even that test, as supposedly foolproof as it is, it isn't. It's a test that the militaries of the world use to train their soldiers in SEER missions, search, evasion, rescue, and evacuation type courses, where they go into different plant identifications and foods and stuff. Again, it's not ironclad, so don't take it as gospel truth. Make sure you know what you're talking about. Investigate it thoroughly. and make a 110% positive identification of the plant that you're going to be putting in your mouth. And again, a lot of plants are not that harmful, but they have more medicinal use than anything else. And that'll be for another episode. Like I said, there's a lot of information. It can take hours and hours and hours. And I'm not a professional, so I don't have the knowledge that I need to just quip off a bunch of short sentences to, anchor what I've got to say. So we'll get right into some of the descriptions and stuff here of these plants, and we'll go from there. And again, make sure you check out my blog, themainbushcrafter.blogspot.com. I'm going to begin posting various plants, various things you can do while you're out in the field, pretending to be a bushcrafter, and whatnot. And again, if you like and enjoy the work that I'm doing, and you want to see it continue, then please click on the donate button and chip in a few bucks here and there for cash and for gas and equipment. And we'll have some really good videos coming up if we can do that. But again, I'm just a little guy. I don't have regular full-time employment like a lot of other people do, and I don't do these videos in the backyard. I don't like to do that. I could, but I won't. I like to go out in the field and actually get into things. So, another comment I want to make before we get too far is about bushcrafting. And one of the I brought this up and made this comment on several different forums now. A lot of people look at bushcrafting as a hobby, but most of the people that are dealing with bushcrafting, the videos that I've seen are either done by somebody setting up, a really cool survival shelter in the backyard out of, a thrown away or disposable tarp or something like that, which is okay because that does go into some educational aspects of what you need to learn to survive out in the wilds. And the other aspect is most of the videos that I've seen is basically revolving around a bushcrafter going out in the woods and talking about this and talking about that and showing off his custom-made knife and fire starter and making a pot of coffee and having a brew, or a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or whatever, and maybe making a meal out of frozen steaks or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I enjoy watching them and I subscribe to a lot of these people, and they have some excellent videos. But I'm trying to go in a different direction, and again, it's going to cost a lot of money to do things the way I want to. So I guess we'll leave it at that for now, and we'll hang on, and when we come back there, I'll go into some of the different plants that I've come across. Probably not going to do more than 4 or 5 at this setting because of the time involved. But yeah, we'll see you at the